This is Theo Henderson from Weedian House. Today is May 2nd, and here we are in the studios with one of the first responders. I like to call the people that are stepping up in COVID-19 and then the other challenges as first responders. It's just not always police officers and hospital workers. This is a first responder that is feeding a need out here in Skid Row, Los Angeles. She's feeding the unhoused that has been mostly forgotten and ignored. So without further ado, I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us why did she feel the need to come out and help someone.
My name is Maxine Seeley with Sharing Love with Others, and we've been on Skid Row for about over a year, and we've been feeding the homeless out here and taking care of the community before the pandemic. So now that there's a pandemic, we need help, but we are out here passing out masks, we give out food, we give out personal hygiene items, and hand sanitizers. And the community needs help. The community needs help. We can do but so much. We're a small organization. So we need donations. We would like for you to donate at Sharing Love, at Sharing Love 2019, Venmo Sharing Love with Others. Our mailing address is Sharing Love with Others, 1035 South Prairie Avenue, Suite 4, Inglewood, California, 90301. But again, coming back to the community, there is a need out here. The people out here don't have the services that they need. It's a lot of mental health issues out here. A lot of people think that it's only drugs, but that's not the issue. That's not the main issue. To me, my personal opinion is the mental health. So if we can get help out here for the community, that would be great.
One of the questions you said you've been out here for a year. What started you to come out here to meet this need?
Well, I've had a heart for helping the community since 2004. I was going through my own financial struggles, and I went to my pastor and I said, Pastor, we need to do something for the community, but that's in Hawthorne. And I became the outreach director for the church. And after that, I started going to the missions and different organizations volunteering. But while I was volunteering, I did not have the contact with the community. We would just share the food. But I needed to talk to the people. I needed to feel, to hear what they had to say. I needed to connect with them. And I volunteer organizations, but since I didn't have that connection, I said I'm going to start my own organization. And we've been Sharing Love with Others started in 2019, March of 2019. We have 1 year since we are a nonprofit organization. And we've been coming to Skid Row every Saturday. We haven't missed one Saturday. We come out here in the rain. When it rains, we are out here. And the community loves that. I remember one time we came out here, and as soon as we were setting up, it started pouring. And we started setting up, and we were able to feed the community. The community came out after the rain, and we fed them. There was another time it rained, and they thought we weren't coming. And when we came, they were surprised. They're like, oh, God bless you. You guys came out here in the rain. So we feel the love. We have that connection. We talk to them because they're human. They need a hug. We used to hug them. Now because of this pandemic, I can't hug them. They can't hug me. But we have that urge. So I am just praying that all this is over with so that I can hug them. And one thing people would tell me because of the pandemic, they would say, be extra careful when you come to Skid Row. You extra careful. That was the emphasis. And I would respond, you need to be extra careful when you go to the grocery store, because the same thing that's happening here is happening in your neighborhood. So there's no extra careful that I have to be. I need to be careful, yes, and take my precautions. When we are out here in Skid Row, we practice social distancing. Yes, we do that. Because we understand. We do it for our safety and for the safety of the community, right? So, but we need your help. We need your help. So if you would like to volunteer, you could please send us a message at our Facebook page, Sharing Love with Others.
I was going to say, do you find the work rewarding? But you just already answered the question. What I admired when I was watching and I was looking at is that the care and the attention that you brought. What you forgot to say, and I'm going to say it again, is that she could prepare these meals at her home. Where I want to point out to you, because you don't have to be some big millionaire or drop if you really want to make a difference in helping unhoused people, these small things mean a lot. As a person that's been unhoused and unhoused now, I understand that, and I wanted to point that out because she chose one moment in time to say, you know what, I'm going to make a difference, a positive difference, instead of a negative difference and calling the police on them or causing more misery for people that already are down on their luck. Is there anything else would you like to inspire anyone, to say anything, to get people to want to come out and volunteer or do anything to help?
Well, yes, I do want to kind of piggyback on what you said. You don't have to have a lot of money. You know, any little thing that you have to donate or to help the community, you could start with that. If you would like to join us, please send us a message on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, and we would happy to have you volunteer with us, because we do need volunteers and we need financial support. So thank you very much. My name is Maxine Seeley, Sharing Love with Others.
Nice. And thank you. There you have it. This is Theo Henderson from Weedian House, and I thank you all for listening, and may we again meet in the light of understanding. Thank you very much. I also have a podcast on Weedian House. Would you mind?
Our last thing is a card about my father's business. So we just want to help. You know what you want us? Get a bag? Look at this guy. People who feel like there's no answers and no one cares, they just feel hopeless. Some people feel hopeless. So we out here dealing hope, not dope.
Oh, okay. I gotta deal with that.
We deal hugs, not drugs. Mm-hmm. We have always the same stuff. We have fresh fruit.
Oh, fresh fruit.
And courtesy of Mark, we have cane socks. We have soup, meat, lots of snacks.
Good point. Where unhoused people, these are things that people can eat and be able to open. You know, and then other thing that I like when people give out food, it's fresh. It's not beaten down or it's not spoiled. So this is one of the benefits of one of the things that I wanted to point out. And this is not the city's doing this. This is these people are the kindness of their heart chipping in and doing something for our
Costco, the Restaurant Depot, Smart and Final. No Food Shelter is giving us food. We have to buy it ourselves. Or food pantry.
Exactly.
We buy it ourselves.
This is why I feature her as one of the first responders, because this is the first responder, because despite all of the legislation, people got to eat no matter whether they're housed or unhoused. And we are, eating is a human right as well. And being able to have fresh food that you would eat it yourself at your home is an opportunity that should be had by the unhoused community as well.
What we got, ladies?
Oh, Russell. Oh, that's Russell.
Lunch back here.
Oh, look at this back here. I just love those shit. And, you got to wait a minute. We got to investigate. We got raspberry cookies. You know, this might have to be investigated further. It might be edible. And we got another example of how it's easy for unhoused people to eat. It's water, food, it's utensils, water, and the best did not last. I won't say anything. You won't say anything. Dessert. You know, I'm a dessert eater, so.
And I want to say that each of those comes with a meal from the Rice Guys.
Oh, wow. Because the Rice Guys also, during the pandemic, have stepped in and have fed a lot of the unhoused community with Koreatown for All, too. So,
yes, that's what I was going to say. So they're doing us, Koreatown for All. Melissa, thank you, Melissa, Chris.
Yes.
Carla.
James.
Kyle. And Streetwatch.
Good afternoon. This is Theo Henderson from We Unhoused. Today is a very special day. I'm out here in the front lines with one of the first responders. This episode talks about the first responders that are often ignored. We always see people that working in the health profession or in supermarkets, but we don't see the true first responders. In this COVID-19 and before the COVID-19, there have been first responders that have been going to the least of us, as society is like to blame us, is the unhoused community. In the studios today is Kathy Huck, one of the frontline first responders. And without further ado, welcome to our show again.
Thank you, Theo. It's good to be back for another time. I rarely get invited back, so I'm really feeling good right now.
Well, you've been on your best behavior in the last episode, so I had figured, well, I'll give her a chance. So tell me, I want to highlight you, and I want to talk to you about this kind of outreach, because it's incredible because societal norms does not really recognize that you guys are first responders. What's going on?
Well, I mean, we have COVID-19, so we have a pandemic. But what I do is nothing new. You already know this. We've always had the unhoused community, but every time there's something new that happens, that community is affected negatively, even more so. So now with this pandemic, how do I self-quarantine? How do I stay safe at home? How do I stay home when my home is outdoors? Mm-hmm. So some of the things that we're dealing with is making sure that people are getting food, making sure that people have some semblance of shelter, even if that's just a tent. You know, that's better than no shelter. And also making sure that they have the other things like hygiene, socks. As you know, working with us, yeah, he works with us too. But working with us, a big part of what you're always, pushing is the outside resources, making sure that we're marrying them to the resources that we need. We just spoke to this lady here that may be eligible for Project Room Key. Exactly. So just giving her the information and what she needs to do, and also using our, organizations of friends. We have a lot of friends that are with organizations that have resources that we use. So taking the advantage of our friends' resources.
As a first responder, is it tough to see that when you're going out here and you get to have the supplies and you come back and you hear someone's things have been taken or they've been swept? What is your feelings about that?
All right, so that is like my pet peeve. All right, so now you're gonna make me get mad. Y'all gonna see me mad for the first time. But it is really hard, because it's hard enough as a marginalized individual myself, ethnically, we don't get paid. And I'm sure a lot of people think that that's the case. So everything that's happening with About My Father's Business, as you know, either is coming out of our pockets, out of my pockets, or some donor, if we get a donor. But nothing have we ever gotten from any local official or government grant. So for the city to come out, matter of fact, I'm just gonna go into my last one, which was on a Saturday 2 weeks ago. As you know, we bought 40 pounds of chicken. It was frozen, it was already pre-cooked. We bought 20 pounds of chorizo, as I can remember, and I think 120 hamburger buns, patties that were frozen. We bought that on Saturday. Plus, as you see, everybody gets a grocery bag with 2 or 3 days worth of groceries as well. And for us to get a call Monday in less than 48 hours after giving out all of that food to find out that sanitation and the care team, why do they call it the care team? They don't care, but the care team and sanitation, LAPD, LASA, they came out and they took everything. And it was just my birthday. Right after my birthday, I did a fundraiser on Facebook, and I asked everybody, all of my friends, to please donate so that we could have tents for COVID-19, so people could self-quarantine at least in a tent. And I had I bought every tent in Walmart.
One of the things that touched me, two things I want to say, like today, one of the things that made me smile is when you walked away and said, I love this job and I would do this without being paid. But also what broke my heart one day, and when you told me the story of a young lady out there creating masks for the unhoused community. Can you tell our audience about that story?
That was also on the same sweep. So we'd given out, I raised $1,355 for tent. But this little girl, her name was Shayna Rose, and her mom is a friend from around me. Her name is Krista Koch. Krista decided to make masks for us, for our team out here. And also they made enough that we could actually hand them out to the people that we serve. That little girl and her mom, they made well over $1,300 in masks. Those were swept away also within less than 48 hours. And what the people were told were they were contaminated. Well, they were reusable masks. They even took the time to make the area for the slot to put a filter in it. They were really beautiful masks. And they were taken, and the meat was taken. The man said they took the freezer, you know, the meat was in a freezer. The tents, the only tents that were left that we purchased for my birthday were 2. That was my birthday present. There were 2 left on that street, and they were brand new. And I asked them, I went back and I asked them on Tuesday, I interviewed them, why were they taken? They were told by sanitation that the meat was contaminated, that the tents were contaminated, that this stuff was contaminated. And if Mayor Garcetti has a moratorium on sweeps, if the CDC says by sweeping an encampment, you're spreading and making this virus increase, then you're not doing the community, housed or unhoused, any service by moving an encampment. And people, if you watch this and you are housed and you like calling the council office to have an encampment moved, you're part of the problem too. Because every time you call and that encampment is moved, somebody is displaced. And it makes our job hard too, because as you see, you've been following us, we have to look around to find our people.
Yes, yes. And it's like a Herculean task because they're in hiding, because they don't want to be swept or taken all of their belongings. And there's a definite need here. What got you into doing About My Father's Business? What was your inspiration?
My mother.
Talk about your mother, because I'm a mama's boy, so you gotta tell me what happened.
Well, we're both from Chicago, so I had one of those Chicago mamas. And my mother was that lady. We were Air Force brats. My father did pretty well in business. My mother, if some kids in our neighborhood was struggling, had to give away my birthday gifts and Christmas toys. When my mother moved out here to LA in '85, I think in '85 my mother moved here, her first thing was to go down on Skid Row. She had heard about Ted Hayes, and she would have us go down there every Sunday and set up tables. And sometimes she set up her own tables over on 4th and Wall Street, and we would feed the unhoused community. And that's been my life. I started going to Sunrise Christian Fellowship in Simi Valley, I think in the mid, like 94 or something like that. And Ken Kraft was my pastor, is my pastor, and longtime friend. Even there, he was doing that in Simi Valley. Wow. So he's always, even in his ministries as a pastor, we've had to take care of the less fortunate. So when he started, he was with San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission for a while, the director. Then he started Hope of the Valley, and I worked with him. I've worked with Manny Flores, hang out with Laura Rathbone, and Laura Rathbone actually got me into encampments.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do tell.
I was working at the day center in Hope of the Valley, and Laura, that's when she was getting taking hundreds of unhoused people downtown to City Hall to protest and get H-Pass. And one day we were at work and she was like, you know what? I'm like, what? She goes, you should come and go with me tonight. I'm like, where are we going? She's like, I wanted you to go with me in Oikos 445, which is the name of this outreach ministry. I'm like, what's the difference? She goes, you'll see. And we went into the encampments. It's raw because now you're not coming to me or where I work or my turf or however you want to say it. I'm coming
to your home.
To your home.
Yeah, exactly.
To where you reside.
Exactly.
And I don't care where that is. You're allowing me into your space.
Yeah.
And it's raw. It's different. I've made I feel like I've always made really heavy relationships. I'm like Anais. If I don't connect deeply, I can't connect at all. And I made deeper relationships because people are inviting me into their personal life and to see the raw side of what it is to be unhoused.
Wow, that you've given us a mouthful of it. I want to talk about the future because it is essential, because my eye is always on the future of the state of being the houselessness right now. We have a situation here. We have unhoused people that are out here. We have a slow or anemic city council, and we have in the horizon over 45% of people that are housed and secure that will be joining the ranks of houselessness. And I want to see what can we do, and what are your thoughts on that, and how can About My Father's Business meet the need and challenge?
I think one of the first things is we keep advocating for affordable housing. We keep advocating for services that are needed, not just for the unhoused, but for people who are housing insecure. Because right now with the pandemic, look at all the people on unemployment. And there are people that are being evicted, moratorium or not. So
Yes, thank you.
at the end of the day, however they come down the chute, most of them are gonna land in my basket.
Exactly.
What I think and what I believe is we have to stop wasting money. So if it's costing $30 million in 2019 to do sweeps, $30 million would buy how many buildings? Or, my dream. I say find a beautiful 4 or 5 acres, make a mobile home park, beautiful, some of the most beautiful mobile home parks. $30 million would build that, and it would be cheaper.
Well, what about if you don't have a mobile home?
But if you're going to build a building,
Yeah.
you can buy mobile homes cheaper than than spending $700 or $100 for one studio apartment. You also had something about the homes that we were driving one day. You were talking about how it would be cheaper to make certain type of homes. That's why I was leaving. Well, I think that if you use container apartments, that's inexpensive. You could do 3D printing and build homes like we build like 10 homes right now. They'll be ready tomorrow. But I think that we have to use these different, I want to say, these abilities, these different
ideas.
I sound like Trump, huh? We have to do this stuff. But we have to, I believe that we have to use the innovation, the technology that we have. But I'm just saying, to me right now, the answer to this, $30 million, you could make a mobile home park with trees, a park area. Why do people have to sleep in their cars in the parking lot? Yeah. And that's expensive. Yeah. Mobile home park is still cheaper. It's cheaper. I have another question. Is like what you pointed out, because it is expensive, is the Los Angeles Police Department budget is 54% of the city budget. Why are we spending over billions of dollars paying them to criminalize unhoused people? I think this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. Well, I think that that's another problem. Yeah. I think that we're spending way too much money on policing, especially if I could tell you that it's a waste. It's a waste to spend tax dollars to do sweeps of encampments. It's a waste of tax dollars to drive up and down the street and racially profile my kids because they black. Exactly. That's a waste. I used to be a police officer, as you know, back in the olden days. Yes. But my job was to protect and serve. And the community I worked in, that was just my job. I think that there are people that shouldn't be in these jobs. I don't know. We militarized our police department. Yeah. I carried a 22 Smith & Wesson. The old fashioned was spin around. Right. I swear I did. So I'm just saying, we're militarizing the police. Everybody's afraid. Afraid of what? And police officers now are doing jobs that are not their jobs. Thank you. They're doing work that's not the work of the police department. The police department has become social services. they become mental health.
Yeah.
And and I have seen good officers trying to decide, Pastor, I don't know, maybe they need DMH, I don't know. They don't know. So, I think the closest any other thing any police officer should have to do would be first aid.
Yes. That's
when I was a cop, if I made it there before the ambulance, I'm like, well, let me stick my finger in this bullet hole and hope that hemorrhage bleed out.
Yeah.
So, now they're doing all these other things. So I think that the biggest problem, budgetary, police department aside, is I feel like we're throwing away a lot of money. If it costs $1,300 for tents, and you consider that little Shana Rose made $1,300, and for yourself, we bought about $700 worth of food. How much did that cost the taxpayers?
Zero. Nothing. You came out of your pocket and you did it yourself.
So it cost them nothing.
Right.
How much does it cost to do the sweep to take all that, though? And that, to me, is fiscally irresponsible. So why should I take a grant from anybody at the city? Why do you want to give me a grant? So, because I'm going to go to Costco, the Restaurant Depot, Smart and Final, buy some good food. So what, are you going to throw the taxpayers' money away too?
It's just like the City Hall council members that buy these Christmas gifts, and the very next day, and I remember seeing this in Echo Park, they swept them on a rainy day after Christmas. So these issues are poor examples of service. I'm going to conclude this interview with a quote by Shirley Chisholm. And she says, service is the rent you pay to stay here on this earth. And I ask our audience, as well as our city who is listening, is what type of service that are you providing for the citizens of Los Angeles, California? Here is a service provider that's providing a service long before it was known, and she's just doing it out of her own pocket and gets very poor, the least recognition. This is Theo Henderson from Weedian House, and I thank you all for listening. May we again meet in the light of understanding. So what you think?
I don't know, you edited it.
But it was a good interview.
I was sitting there like Trump.
Join us for episode 24, The Other First Responders. And if you like our podcast, please subscribe to Patreon. We are also on YouTube and SoundCloud. Special thank you to Mark Horvath for his generous donations in order for me to complete my podcast equipment. And also special thank you to Mindy and her boyfriend for the English muffins and some added things that I need to create my podcast better.